They claim honesty liberates the soul, but for Teddy Campbell, this revelation didn't just liberate him, it annihilated every pillar of his domestic existence. Picture gazing at the girl you nurtured, the offspring you shielded, the reality you crafted, only to hear from your inner circle, she is not yours. In an era where Hollywood skeletons are standard, Warren Campbell just unleashed a digital apocalypse that didn't merely trend, it decimated a matriarch's spirit. He didn't offer whispers, he delivered evidence. Brutal, frozen, irrefutable files that robbed Teddy Campbell of his fatherly status in one solitary, heart-ripping instant. The expression on Teddy's visage, it wasn't mere disbelief. It was the echo of a human psyche finally fracturing. Yet the most chilling instance, the one that lingers in your mind, is the precise flash Tina Campbell's reality incinerated. Witnessing a lady of such grit, such devotion, literally crumble beneath the pressure of a deception far too massive to endure. As she struck the boards, the truth landed. Their household wasn't merely struggling, it was deceased. But the mystery chilling everyone's marrow tonight is, did Teddy secretly suspect? Was he inhabiting a fraud? Or was he the definitive casualty of a treachery so profound there is no redemption? Prepare your tear ducts, because now we aren't merely discussing a mess. We are observing the miserable finale of the Campbell clan as we recognize them. To grasp the scale of this disaster, you must grasp the connection. Teddy Campbell wasn't merely a parent by title, he was a parent by essence. For decades, the public observed him and Leah Simone, witnessing a mirror of raw, unadulterated fatherly devotion. But behind the heavy curtains of the music world's royalty, a darker narrative was lurking in the corners. A narrative that Warren Campbell, a figure who has navigated the peaks and valleys of this industry, could no longer suppress. Warren didn't arrive with rumors. He didn't arrive with he said, she said chatter. He arrived with a dossier that holds the brand of reality that doesn't just sting, it destroys. We are referencing DNA markers, ancestry validations, and chronologies that simply cannot reconcile. As the sheets flipped, the oxygen in the space vanished. You could sense the horror drowning everyone nearby. The figure the public adored as a loyal dad was resting on a base crafted of dust. Why today? That is the query on everyone's tongue. Why would Warren Campbell, a figure so intertwined with his clan, decide to detonate this explosive? Insiders familiar with the drama imply that the burden of the fraud was becoming toxic. You understand, in a household that boasts of piety, of the Mary heritage, and of the facade of the ideal gospel pair, a fraud of this magnitude is a fatal blow. Warren's revelation wasn't a move of spite, it was a move of savage, clinical transparency. He tossed the files on the wood like a verdict in a trial. The proof indicates a chronology that Teddy Campbell simply cannot process. It implies that while Teddy was investing his passion, his bank account, and his entire being into mentoring Leah Simone, the physical reality was oceans away. Can you conceive the chill of that second? The second a man understands that every anniversary, every ceremony, every I adore you, Papa was staged within a ghost story that never happened. The files didn't merely disclose a medical detail, they disclosed a generation of trickery. While this situation shattered Teddy Campbell, the consequences for Tina Campbell were absolutely apocalyptic. Tina Campbell has forever been the backbone. She is the warrior who salvaged her matrimony through cheating scandals, through social disgrace, and through the flames. She assumed she had endured everything. She assumed the drama was buried. But as she hovered over that desk, her vision racing across the sterile, biting text on Warren Campbell's records, her strength evaporated. Onlookers claim it wasn't a mere swoon, it was a complete biological breakdown. It was the vibration of a lady's spirit shattering in real time. This wasn't a mere leak for the followers. This was the wreckage of her holy place. To watch your spouse, the soul you've suffered and wept for, realize his entire paternity might be a myth. It was overwhelming. Tina Campbell didn't just hit the rug, she fell out of the reality she inhabited. The Mary vocalist, typically so vibrant with power and melodies, was turned into a pile of hushed, trembling agony. And there stood Teddy Campbell, the artist who can manage any tempo, any percussion, any platform, but he couldn't manage this. The stillness from his circle since that second has been haunting. They claim he hasn't uttered a syllable in days. How do you vocalize when the specific titles, daughter, and father, have been hijacked from your lexicon? How do you face the bride who is disintegrating at your toes and promise her peace when your own pulse is screaming that reality is a fraud? This isn't a mere title. This is a burial for a clan's confidence. As we tunnel deeper into these files, the query evolves from, is it factual, to something far filthier. Who else understood? The debris has landed from the primary blast, but the smog? The smog is still suffocating everyone involved. When a mansion incinerates, you don't just observe the cinders, you hunt for the ignite. And currently, the entire planet is observing the cinders of the Teddy Campbell household, wondering who ignited the spark. The vision of Tina Campbell disintegrating, a lady whose existence has been a social proof of endurance, has turned into the chilling emblem of this entire wreck. But as the trauma recedes, a darker, more wicked greed is taking its spot. The public is starting to mumble. In the murky alleys of the business, the query isn't just about biology anymore. It's about the motive. Warren Campbell didn't just stumble onto these files. He presented them with a sharpness that felt nearly lethal. Was this a move of safety, or was it a tactical hit? As the record business stares in paralyzed stillness, the spotlight has pivoted entirely to the man at the eye of the hurricane, Teddy Campbell. Teddy can't handle it. That was the caption. But what does it truly signify when a figure of Teddy Campbell's rank can't handle something? It signifies the story he has repeated to himself for almost 20 years has been erased. Every recollection of Leah Simone's youth, the initial steps, the talent shows, the hushed instances of dad-daughter bonding, is now poisoned with the sharp tang of a fraud. But here is the plot that is keeping fans restless at night. Did Teddy Campbell already understand? Consider it. In a union that has already outlasted the infernos of infidelity and social trial, mysteries are rarely total. There are those who assert that Teddy Campbell had been existing with a biting suspicion, a phantom in the rear of his brain that he was too terrified to face. They imply that the bomb wasn't a jolt to his heart, but a verification of his ultimate dread. If Teddy Campbell understood, then his stillness for all these decades wasn't just a preference, it was a martyrdom. He decided to be a guardian to a girl that wasn't his, even if it meant inhabiting a fraud that would eventually eat him. But if he didn't understand, we are witnessing one of the most savage betrayals in the annals of contemporary art. To nurture a girl as your own, to grant them your title, your wealth, and your spirit, only to discover through a relative that the pulse in their frame isn't yours, that is a depth of agony that prose cannot describe. This is why the business is frozen. This isn't just star gossip. This is a heart-stabbing look at the fragility of kin. And then there is the Warren Campbell element. Why would a brother-in-law, a tight partner, be the one to activate the trigger on this? Some claim Warren Campbell couldn't endure the phoniness anymore. Others imply that the scandal was exposed to mandate a fallout that was long overdue. Regardless of the motive, the harm is finished. The Mary Mary trademark, constructed on the pillars of honesty and faith, is now meeting its gloomiest period. How do you vocalize about the gospel when your own bloodline is a maze of frauds? This disaster is bleeding far past Teddy Campbell and Tina Campbell. It is traumatizing the supporters who idolize them. It is traumatizing the offspring who are witnessing their guardian's universe disintegrate across digital platforms. As we analyze the records Warren Campbell presented, the sterile terminology of non-paternity cuts like a frozen razor. It ignores the weeping. It ignores the decades of devotion. It purely validates biology. But biology cannot clarify the expression in Teddy Campbell's gaze. Biology cannot clarify why Tina Campbell struck the boards like she had been executed. As we anticipate an official update, an update that might never materialize, we are stuck with the chilling certainty that specific skeletons should remain hidden. Because once they are exposed, there is no reversing time. The Campbell clan is transformed eternally. The patriarch is stranded, the matriarch is shattered, and Leah Simone, the daughter, is trapped in a conflict she never requested. We have arrived at the final path, but for the Campbell clan, the trek through the debris is purely starting. When the recording ends and the engagement on digital feeds vanishes, Teddy Campbell and Tina Campbell are left residing in a mansion that no longer feels like a sanctuary. The point of no return isn't a mere cliché, it is a concrete fact. Once the label bombshell is applied, once the DNA records are displayed, the purity of this household is dead forever. You cannot unhear a reality that rewrites your biography. You cannot unsee the records that claim your existence was a fiction. The catastrophe here isn't purely about genetics. It is about the execution of a heritage. For decades, the Campbells acted as the elite benchmark of the gospel circle. They were the partners that outlasted the inferno. But this isn't an inferno you can escape. This is a tremor that has consumed the very soil they occupy. As Tina Campbell stays in hiding, the public is forced to witness a lady of faith struggle with a treachery that feels demonic. What becomes of Leah Simone currently? This is the most soul-crushing segment of the narrative. Trapped in the crossfire of mature deceptions and business narcissism, she is the muted casualty. Does a legal sheet transform the decades of bedtime rituals and parental guidance? Technically, perhaps. Spiritually, it is a wound that might never close. The Teddy Campbell can't handle it. Script isn't purely about his pride. It is about his mourning for a bond that has been rebranded against his choice. Insiders claim the friction between Warren Campbell and Teddy Campbell has hit a lethal peak. The alliance that once secured the Campbell-Riley-Mary kingdom is splintered beyond fixing. Warren's choice to detonate this scandal has etched a boundary in the dirt. On one front, those who insist reality must be exposed regardless of price. Conversely, those who insist specific mysteries are better left buried to shield the blameless. There is no neutrality here. There is purely a household split, a spouse destroyed, and a patriarch who is hunting for a shadow of himself that no longer exists. As we conclude this probe, we must face ourselves. Why are we so hooked on their agony? Likely because the Campbell narrative mirrors our darkest terrors, the terror that the souls we cherish most are guarding mysteries we cannot outlive. Teddy Campbell didn't purely lose a child. He lost his grip on fact. Tina Campbell didn't faint. She succumbed to the pressure of a biography constructed on a fraud. The records are exposed. The bomb is detonated. The consequences are toxic. As the business pivots to the following drama, the Campbells are abandoned in the stillness of their own demolished reality. Is there a route to absolution? Or is this the definitive exit for one of gospel's most legendary households? Before you vanish, we need your take. This is intense. If you occupied Teddy Campbell's position, would you crave reality? Or would you prefer the fraud to preserve your household unity? And Warren Campbell, was he a savior for exposing the reality, or a monster for nuking a sanctuary? Spill your heart in the section below. Let's debate, but keep it classy. This is a real family's agony, and currently, they are bleeding. Don't skip the like and subscribe for more surgical strikes into the dramas the business attempts to bury. Until the next drop, keep hunting for reality, regardless of the sting. We've presented the evidence, we've displayed the files, and we've observed the soul-crushing instant the Campbell clan transformed eternally. But currently, the most vital segment of this narrative starts with you. You realize, dramas like this aren't purely about icons or industry titans. They are about the raw, brittle essence of reality. We frequently demand reality regardless of price, but when the price is a juvenile's identity and a matriarch's mental health, was it truly justified? We need you to pause for a beat and truly contemplate that. If you were Teddy Campbell, would you appreciate Warren Campbell for exposing the truth, or would you pray the mystery had remained hidden to preserve the solitary household you've ever recognized? And regarding Tina Campbell, after every battle she has endured, does a bloodline ever genuinely bounce back from a disaster this social, this profound, and this agonizing? We are activating the feedback section right now because we demand this to be a hub for authentic dialogue. Share your perspectives, but please, keep in mind there are actual spirits fracturing behind these captions. If this investigation shook you, if it sparked a thought, or if it gripped your soul, tap that like button. It assists us in continuing to drag these buried narratives into the light. If you haven't yet, join our squad by hitting subscribe and toggling that alert chime. We don't purely report the headlines. We dissect the spirit of the business. Don't allow the reality to remain masked. Stay alert, stay inquisitive, and above all, stay empathetic. Appreciate you for streaming, for tuning in, and for joining this trek. We'll meet you in the feedback, and we'll meet you in the following clip. Until then, look out for one another.